Heartwarming discovery. Maid exposed incredible truth about Millionaire's daughter's hidden vision. Rosa woke up to the sweet scent of apple pie wafting through her small home. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the modest kitchen filled with faded photographs of her father, his proud stance, representing a Vietnam veteran full of stories from long ago. Though their life was one of constant struggle, laughter echoed through the neighborhood, where the chatter of neighbors reminded her of hope. Each day was a battle to make ends meet, but Rosa's heart brimmed with love for her father. After weeks of desperate job searches, she received an unexpected call from the Harrington family. Shadows danced across her heart when she remembered their reputation: wealthy, extravagant, yet cold. With apprehension curling in her stomach, she stepped into the opulent Harrington home, the extravagant decor nearly overwhelming her senses. Crystal chandeliers sparkled high above, and the lavish furnishings screamed of a life Rosa couldn't fathom. At first, she felt like a ghost in their world, out of place among the polished surfaces and endless wealth. But then she met Emily, soft-spoken, with eyes that hinted at untold stories. Emily was the Harrington's daughter, delicate as a porcelain doll with a sweet smile that dimmed too quickly. Rosa learned that Emily had severe vision impairment, a shackle her parents used to confine her under layers of expectation and strict rules. With careful whispers of encouragement, Rosa became Emily's confidant, nurturing her artistic dreams hidden beneath a family that valued status over love. As they chatted and painted together, laughter broke through Emily's hesitance. Her spirit began to soar, mirroring the colors on the canvas before them. Rosa felt warmth bloom in her heart. Their friendship was something rare in the midst of both their struggles. But trouble loomed like storm clouds. Whispers of scandal swept through the Harrington mansion like wildfire, and the tension turned palpable. The Harringtons doubled down on Emily, their fear of embarrassment stifling her creativity. As the town's annual arts showcase loomed closer, Emily hesitated to reveal her artwork, terrified it might ignite another family crisis. Rosa could sense her friend's pain deepen with every passing day. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily's struggle lit a fire in Rosa. She knew what they were fighting for. When showcase night arrived, anticipation buzzed in the air as the community gathered, a tapestry of excitement and whispers. Rosa felt fear and determination clash within her. Standing in front of the audience, she took a deep breath, her heart racing. What she had to say would challenge the Harringtons and the status quo. With fiery passion, Rosa revealed Emily's hidden talents. Art poured from her soul like an unshackling flood. In that moment, the audience held their breath as emotions erupted around them, creating a whirlwind of raw feelings. Would Emily's parents finally embrace her for who she truly was? Would their wealth allow them to tear down the walls they'd built so high? As chance hung in the balance, Rosa stood tall for both her father, the soldier scarred by battle, and for Emily, whose potential gleamed like starlight against the dark canvas of privilege. Would love bridge the divides? The community held its breath, waiting for Emily's response, as vulnerability electrified the air, crafting a disquieting and tantalizingly unresolved fate. Emily stood on the edge of revelation, her heart pounding in sync with the murmurs rising from the crowd. Rosa's words lingered in the air like the scent of fresh paint, hopeful and bright. But alongside that hope came fear, swirling within her like a tempest. Would they truly see her? Or would the weight of her family's expectations crush her dreams once again? She glanced at her parents, their faces a mix of confusion and anger. The elegant lines of her mother's perfectly manicured hands tightened into fists, while her father's jaw clenched, a storm brewing in his eyes. Emily's stomach churned, dread settling in like a lead weight. In that moment, the walls of her world threatened to close in, suffocating her creativity and spirit. Rosa's voice, strong and unyielding, cut through the haze around her. "Emily, it's your voice. Let it be heard." The words resonated deep within Emily, igniting a flicker of courage buried beneath layers of fear. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. She remembered the laughter they shared, the dreams they painted together, every conversation that reminded her of her value, her identity which went beyond being the Harrington girl. With a surge of strength, she closed her eyes, the stage lights dimming in her mind while she centered herself. In that sacred space, she could feel the brush against her fingers, the colors swirling around her like magic. The sense of freedom emerged, filling her heart with warmth. When Emily opened her eyes again, she faced not just the audience but herself, a girl ready to step into her own light. She turned back to Rosa, who nodded, an unspoken agreement passing between them. With a trembling hand, she took the microphone, the cool metal grounding her in reality. "Tonight, I'd like to share my heart with all of you." The fraction of a second stretched into eternity as the audience fell quiet, every curious gaze pinning her in place. She began to speak, and with each syllable, each sentence, she peeled back the layers of fear, revealing the vibrant colors of her spirit. Emily talked about the beauty she saw in the world, her brush strokes conveying emotions often overlooked: a father's love, a mother's pride, the kind faces of their neighbors, and the life lessons from her friend, Rosa. Images painted with words danced before her, unveiling the truth behind her disability. It wasn't a prison, but rather a lens through which she saw humanity, raw and unapologetic. As she spoke, murmurs turned to gasps, tension shifting in the air like summer rain. Emily's parents exchanged glances of disbelief, shock coursing through their veins. She felt their embarrassment, but most of all, she felt their fear dissolve into something softer. Intrigued by the depth of her words, the crowd leaned forward, hanging on to every heartfelt revelation. She ended her speech with a passionate plea. "Let us not judge one another by what we see on the outside, but rather by the love and creativity that resides within." Silence encased the room, charged with a collective breath held painfully tight. Suddenly, applause erupted, ringing like bells of freedom throughout the space. Tears streamed down Rosa's face, her heart overflowing with pride for her friend. Yet, as Emily looked toward her parents, she caught the shades of uncertainty still lurking in their expressions. Would they finally understand? Or would her coming into her own push them further away? Drama rippled through the crowd, as the tension between family and authenticity hung fiercely in the air. And just when Emily thought she could breathe again, her mother's voice pierced through the applause, a mix of disbelief and anger swirling in her tone. "Emily, wait, this is unacceptable." With those words resonating against the warmth of the audience, the stage expanded with an impending confrontation, leaving everyone questioning. What would happen when family loyalty clashed with the bold truth of self-discovery? The applause faltered as Emily's heart sank. Her mother's voice sliced through the air like a knife, leaving an awkward silence in its wake. A knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach, the once vibrant colors of her revelation dimming under the shadows of doubt. Unacceptable? Emily hesitated, her voice barely a whisper as she searched her mother's face for understanding. "Mom, it's who I am. It's what I see. I thought you'd be proud." "Proud?" The word echoed back to her, mingling with the shuffle of chairs and murmurs from the crowd. She could feel their fascination shift toward the growing tension unfolding before them. Her father's expression was unreadable, a powerful mask that guarded the swirling emotions brewing beneath. "Proud of you? How can I be proud when you choose to expose our family like this?" Her mother stepped forward, her presence commanding attention, yet Emily felt a sense of betrayal washing over her. "This is not the way to deal with your situation." "Situation?" Emily shot back, her voice rising slightly. "Being different is not a situation. I'm trying to show that being unique is beautiful. Isn't that what we always talked about?" The audience held its breath, sensing the rawness of the moment. Emily's heart raced, every pulse echoing her determination to stand her ground. Stepping away from the microphone, she advanced slightly toward her mother, the distance between them metaphorical yet heavy. I never hid who I was. You taught me that. Emily's words hung in the air, imbued with both challenge and a plea for her mother to remember the dreams shared in the quiet corners of their home. Please, just listen to me. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm just asking for love. The tension in the room was palpable. She was not just fighting for her voice, but for the connection to her family, the unspoken bonds that had become frayed. She looked into her mother's eyes, searching for a flicker of recognition, a sign that maybe her mother truly understood her. Emily, her father, finally spoke, his voice steady but tinged with concern. I want to understand you, but this is different from what we envisioned for you. Emily felt the weight of his words. Was her vision of herself really so far removed from their expectations? The disappointment etched into her parents' faces hurt more than she could express. Different is not less. She cried out, a mix of fury and sadness coursing through her. Why can't you see that? I'm here, standing in my truth. All I want is for you to see me for who I am. Around her, the audience shifted restlessly, their eyes flitting between Emily and her parents. Rosa reached out, giving her hand a supportive squeeze from the edge of the stage, a lifeline thrown amidst the turmoil. Emily, her mother's voice softened, a hint of struggle softly wrapping around her words. We just wanted you to be safe. The world, it can be so harsh. We didn't want you to stand out. Don't you see? Emily replied, her voice trembling with emotion. Standing out is my strength. That's how I've learned to paint my life. Let me paint the world as I see it. As she spoke, the crowd began to nod, their approval murmuring like a wave gathering strength. Emily could feel their sincerity, vibrant encouragement pulsing through her. I am not afraid anymore, but I need you to be with me. I need to know you won't abandon me for being who I really am. In that moment, everything felt fragile, suspended in an atmosphere thick with hope and apprehension. Emily hung onto that sliver of hope, praying for a crack in the wall that separated her dreams from her family's expectations. But then her mother's eyes flickered, caught between fear and uncertainty. The moment of truth was coming, and the silent question loomed: would they choose to support her, or would they cling to their own doubts? And just as Emily prepared herself for whatever answer might come, a loud voice broke through, one they all recognized well. Enough of this. You think we're going to let you betray our family with ridiculous dreams? Emily turned, her heart dropping, as she recognized her estranged brother standing in the back of the room, the entire atmosphere shifting dramatically once more. What fresh turmoil was this? The battle for acceptance wasn't over. And as Emily stood firm, eyes wide in disbelief, she could only wonder what the next chapter of her truth would unveil. The room buzzed with shock. Emily felt the weight of her brother's words crash against her like a wave, sweeping away her fragile hope. She had known Ryan had his opinions about her choices, but hearing him voice that disdain in such a public setting left her reeling. Ryan, she shouted, trying to pierce through the confusion that had gripped the audience. You don't understand. Understand what? He shot back, stepping into the spotlight. That you're throwing away everything our family built for your nonsense? You think they applaud you? You're embarrassing us. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She had always looked up to Ryan, but in that moment, he felt like a stranger, someone desperately clinging to outdated ideals. Mom, Dad. She whirled back to her parents, panic tightening around her throat. Please back me up. Don't you see how much this means to me? I'm not just trying to be different. I'm evolving. Isn't that what you wanted for me? The murmurs rippled through the crowd like an unsettling tide. Her father's eyes darted from Ryan to Emily, trying to absorb the unfolding chaos. Her mother stood there, a mixture of despair and confusion pulling at her face. This isn't about betrayal, Emily continued, her voice quaking, yet fierce. This is about being true to myself. Isn't that worth fighting for? Ryan took a bold step closer, his expression hardening. You mean being true to this fabricated version of yourself? What's next? A circus act. You'll just become another freak show, and we'll all be left holding the bag. Fury ignited inside her. If being who I truly am is a freak show, then I'd rather be a freak than live a lie. The crowd's reaction was electric. Gasps mingled with whispers of support. Emily sensed the shift. The tide was starting to turn in her favor. Rosa squeezed her hand tighter, offering silent solidarity. Ryan, don't you remember what it was like to dream? Emily pressed on, her voice rising above the murmurs. You used to have dreams too. When did you decide what mattered was just fitting in? His features softened for a moment, as though he heard a whisper from their shared childhood. A flicker of the brother who had once dared to imagine with her. But just as quickly, the wall went back up. I grew up, Em. You should too. He turned away, glancing at their parents for affirmation, but it wasn't he there. Emily, please, her mother interjected softly, desperation creeping into her tone. We only want to protect you. This world is cruel. You'll face judgment, hate. I know, Emily shouted, her emotion raw. But I'd rather be judged for who I truly am than to live in the shadows of who I'm supposed to be. Isn't that worth fighting for? For a moment, the room felt still, suspended in tense silence. Emily's gaze shifted to her parents, searching for answers, for acceptance. Then she turned back to the crowd, her voice cracking. This is who I am. A painter. A dreamer. I refuse to shrink myself to make others comfortable. The audience was rising now, their murmurs of agreement swelling around her. Yet in the midst of her own burgeoning hope, Ryan shook his head, his expression locked in disbelief. You don't get it, do you? Their applause won't mean anything when you're all alone. We're family, Emily. Family? She echoed, her heart breaking. Family should lift each other up, not tear each other down. As the crowd erupted in a mixed wave of cheers and protests, Emily felt her resolve solidify. She had come too far to let this moment slip away. Suddenly, a voice from the far back called out, "What about your dreams, Emily? If you're going to paint your own world, aren't you afraid it will be just a canvas full of mistakes?" With that, Emily faced the audience. Each individual tide pulled her in different directions: fear, hope, anger, mistakes. She declared, heart racing, are just another color in my palette. Without them, there's no masterpiece. And just then, as she stood there soaking up the hesitant applause of acceptance, her brother's face hardened once more. You think this is it? You don't even know what storms are coming for you. The anticipation grew, tension crackling in the air, drawing everyone's gaze back to her. Emily stood tall, taking a breath, ready to respond to the brewing storm that threatened her very core. What would Ryan say next? The challenge lay ahead, and her truth was only just beginning to unfold. Emily could feel the weight of the room settle on her shoulders. The energy crackled around her like static, the audience suspended in a collective breath. She glanced around at the faces, some supportive, some skeptical, but each one alive with curiosity. Ryan stood firmly, arms crossed, his defensiveness a stark contrast to her newfound vulnerability. You think it's brave to go against everything that matters? Fine. But when the applause fades and the crowd disperses, you'll find yourself standing alone. Maybe, she countered. Her voice hardened but laced with a shimmer of hope. But at least I'll be standing tall, knowing I fought for something real. The truth twisted in her heart, locking eyes with Ryan through the sea of shifting expressions. His gaze faltered, just a moment, like a crack in the mirrored facade he held so tightly. That tiny breach of vulnerability filled her with an unexpected warmth. But Ryan quickly regained his composure. You'll regret this, Em. You have no idea what the real world is like. What's the real world, Ryan? Living a life dictated by fear? The words rushed out, raw and strong, fueled by desperation and courage. She took a step forward, her heart racing. I refuse to give in, to hide who I am because it might make someone else uncomfortable. Around her, the crowd began murmuring again, their whispers creeping closer to supportive roars. Emily's heart thrummed loudly in her chest. This moment was for her. For every sleepless night spent in fear of judgment, every chance she held back on for the sake of family expectations. I know you think you're protecting me, She turned back to her parents. But this is who I am. I won't change for anyone. It took me too long to understand that living within the lines won't make me happy. Her father's face softened, a hint of understanding breaking through his stern expression. Her mother's eyes shimmered, caught between pride and worry. Do you really think I trade the warmth of being me for the cold comfort of a facade? Emily pressed, her voice shaking slightly, but determined. The world outside this room had always pushed her around, but in this moment, she was firmly grounded. Ryan shook his head, frustration transforming his handsome features as he stepped back. You need to wake up. The audience shifted, tension thickening the air. Emily felt a surge of confidence as her pulse quickened. And you need to realize that dreams aren't a luxury, but a necessity. Why should I discard everything I love for a version of life we never chose? A young woman in the front cheered. Yes, and Emily felt the tide really turning then. The burden of expectation was lifting, like a weight slipping off her shoulders as she embraced the energy from the crowd. Ryan's brow furrowed, disbelief still etched on his face. What about the family business, Emily? What about the respect? You think this is noble? It's noble to be true to myself, she shouted back. To show others that it's okay to fall, to rise again, to reclaim our stories. In that moment, she caught a glimpse of possibility in Ryan's eyes, a flash of something between them that could bridge the gulf of misunderstanding. For the first time, she saw him not just as her brother, but as someone who too could face the storm's head dash on as the audience erupted into supportive applause. Emily found herself both exhilarated and terrified by the road ahead. She mustered a small smile, clutching Rose's hand tightly. I guess this is just the beginning. Huh? But before she could embrace the thunderous applause, Ryan took a deep breath, his expression darkening. You're right. It is the beginning. But sometimes what starts as hope ends in regret. You'll see. The weight of his words hung in the air long after the cheers faded. Emily's heart raced not just from the excitement of acceptance, but from the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Would her choice lead to liberation or chaos? As Ryan turned and walked away, she felt a pang of loss, yet her resolve only strengthened. At that moment, Emily knew she'd have to protect her vision from anything trying to tear it down. And as the crowd began to disperse, she couldn't shake the sense that the real battle was still coming. What further revelations awaited, and would they drive her family apart or draw them back together? Emily stood in the aftermath of her speech, the applause still echoing in her ears like a sweet symphony. She felt light, almost as if her feet were barely touching the ground. Yet, the lingering shadows of Ryan's words clung to her, clouding the brightness of the moment. Was it truly just a fight for herself? Or was she stepping into a minefield unprepared? Are you okay? Rosa asked, concern etched on her face. Emily turned to her friend, drowning in a mixture of joy and anxiety. The energy before had felt like a torrent flowing through her. And now, it was as if the dam had broken, letting in an overwhelming flood of emotions. Yeah, she managed, her voice trembling. I think I need to talk to Ryan. Rosa's brow furrowed. Do you really think it's a good idea right now? The crowd is still buzzing. You don't owe him anything. Emily could see the logic in Rosa's concern, but she couldn't shake the feeling. I do owe him, at least a conversation. He deserves that much. With a heavy heart, she made her way towards the exit where Ryan had disappeared. As she stepped outside, the cool air wrapped around her bringing clarity. The night sky sparkled above, stars twinkling like tiny promises of hope. This, she reminded herself, was a chance to understand. She found him sitting on a bench, head bent low, lost in thought. The dim light cast shadows across his features, some sharp, some softening the edges of his fierce demeanor. He looked up as she approached, and in that moment, the world around faded, leaving just the two of them sharing the burdens of family and dreams unspoken. Don't, he sighed before she could even open her mouth. Just don't say it's okay. You've made your choice and I get it. I don't want you to wake up one day and wish you had listened. Maybe that's true, Emily replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But living for other people's expectations is not living at all, Ryan. I need to find my own path. He looked away, frustration etching deeper lines on his forehead. And what if that path leads you away from the family? What if I'm right? What if you're alone? Alone has never been my fear, she confessed, hoping that her conviction would reach him. I'd rather be alone than be a shadow in someone else's life. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. I'm not trying to hold you back. I'm trying to protect you. But I see you're adamant. I can respect that. Relief washed over her. This wasn't the end, nor a perfect resolution. But it was a start. A step toward rebuilding what had cracked between them. We can work on this together. I love you too much to let misunderstandings drive us apart. A flicker of emotion passed through Ryan's eyes, his walls slightly crumbling as vulnerability seeped through. You have no idea how hard this is for me. Watching you step into the unknown feels like losing you. And standing still feels like losing myself. Emily countered gently. I just need you to understand that this fight isn't about you versus me. It's about me fighting for who I am. Silence stretched between them, but it was different. It wasn't filled with resentment or anger, but slowly knitting together understanding and love. Emily reached out and squeezed his hand, a gesture of connection, of unity as Ryan finally met her gaze. Emily felt a warmth surrounding them. Maybe this is the best way to be a family, he murmured. To be honest with one another, no matter how hard it gets. Exactly. She smiled, her heart swelling with possibility. We'll navigate this together, just like you said. But before they could delve deeper, a strident voice called out. Emily, we need to talk. It was her father, pacing toward them, determination casting shadows behind him. Emily's heart sank at the look on his face. Guess the conversation isn't over, Ryan muttered, a flicker of a smile as Emily braced for another clash as they approached her father. The weight of what was to come loomed heavy. Would this lead to a deeper understanding, or would it dig them back into the trenches of family conflict? Whatever the answer, Emily felt a fire kindling within, ready to face the challenge ahead. But what if her father had an unexpected revelation that would change everything? Emily's heart hammered in her chest as her father closed the distance. She could see the slight flush in his cheeks, the tension in his shoulders. Emily, he began, voice firm but lacking the usual bite. We need to talk about what you said. Ryan stepped back, sensing the storm brewing. Emily wasn't sure if she wanted him nearby, or if she needed to face her father alone. Can it wait just a second? She asked, her voice trembling. I was just having a moment with Ryan. This is important, her father insisted, his tone brooking no argument. The urgency screamed at her. Something had changed in her father's approach. Can't you see? You're throwing everything away for a whim. You're still young. Emily took a deep breath, grounding herself. This was the moment she had both anticipated and dreaded. Dad, I'm not throwing anything away. I'm finally standing up for what I want. I don't want to spend my life living up to an image that isn't mine. Her father's eyes flashed, and for a second, she saw a flicker of fear beneath his bravado. Do you really think you know what you want? These dreams, they're just smoke and mirrors. There's a nice feeling in this moment, but the reality will hit you like a freight train. Maybe, she said slowly, carefully choosing her words. But I need to experience that freight train for myself. If you think I'm making foolish choices, let me make them. I promise I won't be careless. I just want the freedom to pave my own road. For a brief moment, his gaze softened, and Emily felt a wave of hope. Could he possibly understand, even if only a little? But as quickly as the softness appeared, it vanished, replaced by tightened lips and a hardened jaw. Freedom? He scoffed. But there was a tremor in his voice. You're confusing freedom with recklessness. Is it reckless to want to live as my own person? She countered, passion inflating her words. I want to know who I am, Dad, without the safety net. Without your shadow looming over everything I do. His expression turned dark, and Emily braced herself, preparing for the inevitable eruption. But instead, he took a step back, eyes darting to Ryan, then back to her. This isn't just about you anymore. There are consequences to your choices. You think I refuse to let you go because I want to control you? What else could it be? The frustration spilled over. You act like I'm making some terrible mistake. His face crumpled momentarily, revealing just a hint of vulnerability. I'm trying to protect you from the world, Emily. Just because you don't see the shadows, doesn't mean they don't exist. Emily's breath hitched in her throat. She had always seen her father as strong, impenetrable. Yet here he was, revealing fears that mirrored her own. What shadows, Dad? The ones in your own reflection? A long silence followed. The air crackled with unspoken tension, the night growing heavier as they stood on the edge. What if confronting her fears meant unearthing his? I could tell you about the times I've lost everything, about dreams I had to bury, he finally said, voice trembling slightly. But you're already on a road that leads away from everything we know. And you're scared of losing me. The truth hung between them like an open wound. His words faltered, and Emily seized the moment. Dad, we can only grow if we face those fears together. As the words left her mouth, Ryan squeezed her hand where he stood to the side. It was a grounding force, a reminder that she wasn't alone in this. Maybe you can share your experiences with me instead of trying to shield me. Her father's expression softened again, but shadows still lingered in his eyes. You really want to know? More than anything, she said quietly, heart racing. Here lay a chance for connection, for understanding, and perhaps healing before he could respond. A sudden ringing broke the tension. Emily's phone buzzed, lighting up with a notification. It was a message from her mother. We need to talk. It's urgent. The heaviness returned, crashing down with the weight of that text. Emily's throat felt tight, and she glanced at Ryan. Would this lead them toward the discovery of those shadows that haunted her family, or only deepen the rift? Her father looked at her, uncertainty in his gaze. Would this finally unravel the truth they had all kept hidden, or would it bury them deeper? Emily, he began again, but her attention was focused entirely on the phone in her hand, dread pooling in her stomach. What if this was the moment everything changed? Emily stared at her phone, the message pulsing on the screen like a pounding drum. Her heart raced. Mom, she whispered instinctively, glancing up to meet her father's troubled gaze. Is it your mother? He asked, the tension in the air thickening. Ryan shifted beside her, an anchor in the storm. The likely ultimatum hung like a noose. She says it's urgent. There was a hint of pleading in her voice. Did her father realize how much she needed him right now? Maybe we should, he began, but the words stopped short. The air felt electric, charged with uncertainty. No, Dad, she interrupted. This is about us too. We're all part of this family, right? This isn't the right time. He pinched the bridge of his nose, frustration and fear battling on his face. What if he hesitated, glancing toward Ryan again, then back to her? What if she can't accept this change? Emily clenched her jaw, determination swelling. What change? Me wanting to decide my own life? I just mean, he took a small step towards her, lowering his voice. She has a lot on her plate. You don't know how she's gonna react. This will pile on more complication. Complication? It was complicated already. Dad, we have to face whatever is going on. I can't keep living in the shadows of your fears or hers. Silence stretched between them, layered with unsaid truths. Emily could feel her father's apprehension ebbing slightly. Was he starting to comprehend that standing together was their best move? Ryan finally broke the silence. You should talk to her, Em. Your mom loves you. Just be honest. The warmth of Ryan's hand in hers reassured her heart. Maybe she could bridge the gap between her dreams and her family's fears. Okay, she exhaled, summoning strength. I'll call her. Together we can face it. Her father watched, the tension in his shoulders softening just a little, though his eyes were still troubled. I'll support you, Emily, but please be mindful of what you say. Of course. Her heart fluttered with uncertainty but also anticipation. The opportunity for a deeper understanding was within grasp. Pushing the call button felt monumental. As the phone rang, every heartbeat drummed in her ears. Please pick up. Please, she murmured under her breath. The line clicked, and her mother's voice broke through. Emily, is everything okay? Mom. She paused, feeling her father's presence beside her. He leaned in slightly, listening intensely. We need to talk. Dad and we were having a discussion about my future. And then I got your message. Emily, her mother's voice faded into something more serious. I've been thinking about some things too. There are secrets I should have shared long ago. Secrets. That word sent a shiver down Emily's spine. What did her mother have to say that could change everything? What secrets, Mom? She pressed, sensing a shift in the air as her father tensed again, bracing himself for whatever was coming. The hesitation on the other end was palpable. There's so much you don't know about this family. Things I've kept hidden because I wanted to protect you. Protect me? Emily echoed, the weight of her mother's words sinking in. But at what cost? A moment passed. They were teetering on the edge of a revelation, and Emily could feel it. All their shadows were about to be exposed, perhaps bringing light to their tangled lives. Because once I tell you, nothing will be the same again, her mother warned, the gravity of her tone delivering chills down Emily's back. Was she ready for the truth? Was her family? The uncertainty clawed at her insides, and yet a spark of hope ignited within her. This could be the turning point they all desperately needed. She glanced at her father, who looked torn between frustration and fear. No matter what, Emily said softly, her determination shining through. We'll face it together. Together, he repeated, but the question loomed. Would they be pulled closer or driven further apart? The resolve presented itself in that moment. But now, more than ever, Emily knew they were standing at a threshold, a moment that might reshape everything. What could possibly follow? These revelations? Did they have the strength to remain united in the face of what lay ahead? The silence on the phone felt like an eternity as Emily held her breath, waiting for her mother to break it. Emily, are you still there? Her mother finally said, her voice shaking slightly. Yes, Mom. I'm here, Emily replied, her mind racing. What could be so important, so heavy, that it had remained locked away for all these years? The tension in the room deepened, swirling around them like a thick fog. Do you remember when you were a little girl? How I used to tell you stories about our family's past? Her mother asked, her voice softening. Vaguely, Emily said, you often made them sound magical. They were magical, her mother continued, an edge of sadness creeping into her tone. But they were also selective. I only told you the parts that would keep you safe, the parts one thought would protect you. Emily exchanged glances with her father, feeling his unease mirror her own. What do you mean? What are you protecting me from? Your grandfather. There was another long pause. He wasn't just a successful businessman. There are things about his life, dark things that I've kept hidden from you and your father. I wanted so desperately to shield you from that world. Dark things? Emily repeated, her heart beginning to pound again. What are you talking about? I shouldn't have waited so long to tell you this, her mother said slowly, as if each word was difficult to share. He was involved in activities that were illegal. We moved away to escape that life, to build something new, something better. But it seems that it's not so easy to break free from the past. Emily felt a rush of confusion and pain. Mom, why now? Why tell me this? After all this time? Because I fear it's catching up to us, her mother said, her voice trembling slightly. I've seen signs that someone is looking for us. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. You have to know, in case something happens, in case you need to protect yourself. The words hit Emily like bricks. Her mind raced back to moments from her childhood, strange shadows in hallways, hushed conversations, her mother's anxious glance whenever strangers came near. Protect myself from what? She whispered, terrified of where this might lead. From the truth, from the darkness that can come creeping back into our lives at any moment. Her mother's voice wavered, thick with emotion. We've been living in the light, but shadows have longer arms than you think. Emily shivered, feeling the gravity of everything her mother had just laid bare. She turned to her father, who looked like he had aged 10 years in that very moment. Dad, what is she talking about? Is this why we've always been so careful? He nodded slowly, the weight of the revelation palpable in the air. Your mother and I thought we'd left that life behind. We didn't want to scare you, Emily. We wanted better for you. Emily's heart was a tempest of emotions: rage, fear, a sliver of betrayal. And now, what do? We can't just ignore it. Together, we face it, her mother replied firmly, her resolve shining through the cracks of her vulnerability. But as Emily looked around at the room that had been their safe haven, a question nagged at her. If secrets could fall apart the way they did, how could they trust one another when the walls were already crumbling? Are we strong enough to handle this together? Emily asked quietly. Silence filled the room once more, each person grappling with their thoughts. Suddenly, Emily's phone buzzed violently in her hand, an unexpected notification flashing across the screen. With her heart racing even faster, she stared at the message. It was from an unknown number. I know who you are, Emily. And I know the truth. What truth? What reality was about to unfold? The urgency clawed at her, along with the fear of what it might reveal next. The wind howled through the trees, carrying the chill of uncertainty that settled around Emily and her family. They stood in the aftermath of revelations that shook the very foundation of who they thought they were. The darkness her mother had hinted at pressed down like a weight, but Emily couldn't let fear dictate her next move. What truth? She whispered into the phone, her heart thudding in her chest. The reply was swift and chilling. Meet me at the old Harrington estate tomorrow at noon, if you want to learn more. The message ended abruptly, an unsettling finality hanging in the air. Her heart raced at the prospect of uncovering the hidden past, yet dread gnawed at her insides. What if this person possessed information that could tear them apart? What if it was the darkness her family sought to escape? Who was that? Her father interrupted, his expression tightening. Emily, you can't just run off. We need to think this through. No, Dad, this is about me. About us, Emily argued. If I don't confront whatever this is, it'll just keep haunting us. I won't let it control our lives anymore. The fire that had surged within her earlier reignited, fueling her resolve. Diving into the unknown won't bring anything good, Ryan added, shifting uncomfortably. We can't be reckless. This isn't reckless. This is about survival. Please understand. Her voice broke, layers of confusion and determination wrestling within her. I have to know the truth, no matter how painful. It feels like the only way to break this cycle of fear. Her father agreed reluctantly, his concern evident. Fine. We'll go with you, but you have to promise you'll listen to what we say, and be careful. He looked at Ryan, then back at Emily. We can face this together, like we always should have from the start. As night fell into a settled silence, they prepared mentally for what the next day would bring. The looming shadows Edward spoke of surrounded them as thick fog wrapped around the edges of their home. Talking the night away couldn't shake the weight of their reality. Emily reached for her art supplies and began to paint, letting colors swirl under her brush as a way to express the whirlwind of emotions. It was in this sanctuary of creation that her hope flickered most brightly, illuminating the corners darkened by uncertainty. She couldn't change the past, but she could own her story moving forward. The next day, they arrived at the old Harrington estate, its neglected beauty almost haunting. Vines crawled the stone walls like silent watchers, and faded grandeur loomed ominously over them. Are you sure this was a good idea? Ryan murmured, unease creeping into his voice. Yes, Emily confidently replied, though anxiety bubbled under the surface. We're doing this together. In the heart of the estate they found the figure waiting. An older woman, her features shadowed but eyes bright with knowing. Emily, she said, beckoning her forward with a slow, deliberate movement. It's time for the truth. Her heart raced again, a mix of fears colliding with the glimmering hope she clung to. The woman revealed herself as Lydia, a distant relative who had once fled the darkness their family had intertwined within. Your grandfather's past is not just shadows but echoes of painful decisions and sacrifices made to shield you from that legacy, she explained. Emily listened intently, the layers of family history unfolding with each word. Tales of betrayal, of hidden lives that once entwined in the underground world of wealth and power. Every detail was a thread weaving their lives back together. He did things he thought were best to protect his family and you, but it created more fear than freedom, more cracks than connections. An uneasy silence enveloped them. Would digging into this past truly be healing, or would it deepen the rifts that had begun to mend? Your choice to stand up and speak your truth was courageous, Lydia continued. But it's the conversations and openness that will restore your family's bond. Emily thought of her parents, the burdens they had borne, the expectations they had placed on her shoulders. She realized they too had been shaped by their circumstances, just as she had been. Clarity washed over her. She turned to them, eyes bright. I believe we can heal together. We're more than just our fears and secrets. We're a family, and that's worth fighting for. The acknowledgement in her parents' eyes held her spirit aloft as they nodded, the pieces beginning to connect. It wasn't just the truth they unearthed, but a path forward built on understanding and compassion as they left the estate. The sun broke through the clouds, bathing the world in a golden hue. Emily felt a warmth in her heart, not for the light of freedom but for the power of connection. She had reclaimed her story, and while shadows from the past remained, she now had the strength of her family to face whatever came next. Change wasn't immediate, but the foundation was laid. They would share burdens instead of sheltering them, and unveil their truths while keeping love at its core. As Emily looked ahead, she felt a sense of unwavering hope. Together, they would continue to fight against the darkness of the past and emerge into the light. Each painted stroke of their journey, a testament to their strength, love, and resilience. Become part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories as they unfold. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let your voice be heard. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting each other through these heartfelt stories.